from the Thrifty Crocheter, and I hope you guys are doing wonderful this evening. Um, I am working on a blanket. And it's getting twisted up. Doo-doo-doo. And here it is so far. It's a nice, colorful, striped blanket. I'm just using up scraps. And I actually had another blanket that I was working on. And I don't know if I just kind of got bored with it because, like, the yarn was, like, I started a few rows into it and then I never got back to it. So I decided I'm going to frog it and put the yarn, incorporate the yarn from that blanket into this blanket. And that way I can kill two birds with one stone and get two projects up off the floor and more yarn out of my craft room. Um, I did go to that thrift trail over the weekend. There were 9 stores. I went to 6 of the 9 stores. Um, I went with my two daughters, and I went with my best friend from high school, came in from out of town. We had a blast. Some of the stores didn't have yarn, and those that did, they were your yarn that was too, like, it was like sport weight yarn or crochet thread or um, like that fuzzy blanket yarn. I mean, there were yarns that I don't use, or they were like way overpriced. Um, okay, like for instance, a while back I bought this for 99 cents. This same size skein of yarn at one of the thrift stores, which was about this size, maybe not much more to this, was for $8, and that was before the 30% off. And I was like, no, like all the yarns were like way overpriced. I mean, even with the 30% off, it still would have been way overpriced. And I was like, I was so mad. I was so upset at the yarn prices at that store, and the rest of the store didn't really have the yarns that I like to use, so I didn't buy any yarn. But what I I didn't buy, but my kids bought, and my friend bought for me my costume for the 80s concert, because we had an 80s concert that Saturday night to go to, and you were supposed to dress up from the 80s. And I'll tell you what, I was all decked out. I had these black spandex pants on with a bright pink shorts, and then I had a black tank top with this bright pink short sleeve sweater top. I had a sideways ponytail with a scrunchie in it. I had some big hoops, and like, she had her Guns N' Roses t-shirt on, and like 3 of her friends, the way they dress up, you swear they all went shopping alike and bought all the same, almost the exact same stuff together, because they were all looked like triplets. And two of them had blow up um, boom boxes, but one was only about like this big, and the other one was like boom box size, and she was carrying up here on her shoulder even. It was so fun. Oh, and they had this contest, and if you whoever had the best outfit won $100, and one of her friends won $100. It, I mean, it was so fun. And they had the music was done by a band, and then whenever the band took a break, which they took 2 breaks, then the DJ played, and the DJ was awesome. So Oh, we got Lucky Deadpool, Veronica Olivier, Light Volume. Hi, hi, hi. I am, hello to everybody. I am having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today was my day off. I meant to come on earlier in the day, but I had a bunch of errands to run today. So that's why I'm not coming out. That's why I came on this late. Um, but I am right now just in the middle of making a blanket. I am frogging another blanket. I'm going to incorporate that yarn into this blanket. Um, I think I was just kind of like bored with it. I mean, it was a pretty blanket. I wasn't really that far into it per se. So I was like, if I'm not going to redo that one, I'm just going to use that yarn to be in this one. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, Let me finish this stitch. Okay. Here's the blanket that I was working on. And the yarn for it kept sitting in a bag, and I just like forgot about it. And I was like, you know what? If I stopped working on it and I never got back to it, I might as well just frog it and use it up in another blanket. And I will just do this again another day when I'm more into doing this. So, although it is really cute, they kind of look like hearts. It is pretty cute, but I must have decided, I'm not into it anymore, and I'm just going to use this in this blanket. So, I don't know if anybody has ever done that, but that's what I'm going to do. Two. Okay. Excuse me. I lost my hook. Okay. Got my hook. I dropped it. Hello, Miss Veronica. Okay. So, what is everybody? What is everybody else working on? As they as they say, it's almost the Burr months, as in September, October, November, December. Not only do they end in Burr, but those are usually the cooler months, especially November and especially October, November, December. Those are definitely the Burr months. Um, Gulf Coast Granny, hi hi hi. It's the blanket I am working on. It's just an easy, simple little blanket. It'll have like, I think the book says like 110 rows, 120 rows, something to that effect. Let's see. Speaking of which, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. I'm in row 27. So I'm getting there. And these stitches actually work out pretty fast because they're just a set of 3 double crochets, and then you put them all together. Ooh, that was not good. I just heard a cat fight outside. That's not good when cats fight. When the neighborhood cats are deciding to fight, that's never good. Oh my goodness, oh, they're in New Zealand. It's 1:20 in the afternoon on Wednesday. It's tomorrow afternoon over there. Wow. Well, it's somewhere between 9 and 10 o'clock p.m. here in the state of Indiana in the country of USA. Talk about, oh, I mean, that's not even, I mean, that's well over half a day more than me. That's way too many time zones for me. Sometimes, you know what, we forget that while we're having night, somebody else is their side of the world is having day, and vice versa. Just like, you know, right now, we're summer going into fall, whereas the other side of the world, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys might be, like, we're getting ready to have fall, you guys might be having ready, like, we're getting ready to have fall and winter, so you guys are probably getting ready to have spring and summer over on the other side of the world, maybe. I don't know, but I think that's how that works. This is from the future. Yeah, where's Marty McFly? He's from the future too. If you ever see, you had to watch the Back to the Future movies to understand that one. Um, oh, you got a new little kitten! Yay! Well, your daughter did, but still, yay! My daughter has three cats. Mm, they're very pretty. Kind of shy, but for good reason. Well, they're shy to strangers. They're not shy to her, but they're shy to strangers. So years ago, we used to have a cat. I kind of called him an indoor outdoor cat because he would and he would come and stay with us, but a lot of times he would get out. He'd be out and about doing whatever he does, and then he would come back, and he would always eat at our house or sleep around. Sometimes he would he'd sleep outside, wherever he found home. So he was kind of our indoor outdoor cat. Yeah, spring starts. Spring Fish says spring starts 1st of September here, but it will be freezing cold because of the wind chill of Antarctica. Oh wow. Well, I'm glad you love your kitty cats. And one day when our cat he got out and never came back. So we don't know if he got picked up or or if he got hit. But he one day he went out like he always does, and then he never came back. So we don't know. We never knew what happened to him. Part of me thinks that he was kind of like the cat version of Tramp, like in Lady and the Tramp. You know how the Tramp was like every place he went, he had a different he went he went by a different name. So to us, he was Buster. So sometimes I wondered if he had a different name to somebody else. Like, did he eat other places too? Did he make friends at other people's homes too? Sometimes I always wondered that. Seventh baby. Okay. Um, Now, I think this is really cool for those who crochet. Well, yeah, mainly for those who crochet. 'Cause I don't think they have anything here that's knit. I think it's all crochet. Is my perpetual calendar that I got not too long ago. About sometime last month I got this. Um, where each month it shows a different stitch or a different pattern. Not like a project pattern. Like right now for August, they're showing um, like these different shapes, and some are really pretty. Most of them they're using. Some of them they're using the magic circle floor, but I am not a magic circle person. Motifs. That's what I couldn't think of a minute ago. I like to use just the chain four and connect. I'm not a magic circle person. I hate using magic circle for anything. I mean, I will try my best to do a magic circle. When the magic circle wants to behave itself, it will work. But a lot of times I have trouble getting the magic circle to cooperate. So it frustrates me to no end. And so I just use a chain four and connect because that's the easiest. But that's my opinion. Anyway, as soon as I get around to it, actually, I have already started to work on the next stitch for this one. I need to do the video for it, but I did go and look at the next card, so I know what stitch I'm doing for, so I can do the next tutorial for the next stitch in this box. Um, then I still need to go back and see which square is next for these, so I can get these going again. Because I do have the stack of them. They're over here, and they are right here in my box. So these are the regular granny squares. These are the flowered ones. So we're still going to be working on those. I'm trying to keep them in separate stacks, and then we're going to put them together for a blanket. A while back I bought this from my thrift store. This is a latch hook kit. Pooh Bear. One of my daughters really likes Pooh Bear. I still can't decide whether I'm going to make it and give it to her or if I'm going to just give it to her. So, although I still remember having fun with latch hooks. I remember having fun with that. And this actually wasn't badly priced. It says Hobby Lobby $6.27, but I only bought it for $1.99 at the thrift store. So that was actually a really good price. Now this latch hook kit was a little on the pricier side because I bought this from a bookstore like on a whim. It was like $13. So this is like also a keychain and it's got some looks like some kind of cardboard with it or something. I don't know. I haven't tried this one yet, but it does have eyes and a mouth and it has here's all the little parts to it. And like it doesn't show on the thingy where to put all the spots because they basically tell you can put all the colors wherever you want. But it does it will show on the graph when you take it out, like where to put the eyes and the smiley face. But I don't know. This one I'll probably make and give to like one of my grandkids. Still gotta make those. Those are like it's like a cookie thing. Yes, I know it's not crochet, but you know what? I also like to loom knit. And maybe one of these days we'll make a loom knit project. We'll do a loom knit project on here. I actually have a couple of things on my looms right now that need to be done. So one's on an S loom and One of them is on a rectangular loom that I'm actually making. I'm going to be making some more panels to go with a blanket that I made for one of my daughters when she was like a little kid, but now she's like way outgrown it, so I need to make it bigger. So I'm making more panels for it and then sew them together to make it bigger. So I have to get going on that too. Um, I just have too many whips going on at the same time. I really shouldn't do that, but if you're a crocheter, knitter, loom knit, whatever, you know it's hard to do keep with only one whip at one time because you just get sidetracked with too many other things. Like, oh look, another whip. It's like buying yarn. Why do I need to buy more yarn? Oh look, more yarn. It's like you see a project and you're like, oh, I gotta make that. We all know who that is. It's like we can't help ourselves. But how are you folks? We had a little bit of rain this morning, um, but then it quit. It was like a bit cooler this morning, and but the rain didn't cool things off today. It just made things hot and humid during the afternoon. But now that it's evening and the sun is set, it's a lot cooler outside. Um, I like fall because it's so much cooler, but I don't like when some fall. Sometimes in the fall it turns you get snow before winter gets there, and so I'm not a winter person. I like fall. I like all the pretty colors. I don't like breaking all the leaves, but I do like all the pretty colors when fall gets here. Um, and I'm using, like, it's not a Volari, it's just a regular gaming pillow that I got for my birthday last year. And so I like using that while I crochet. It helps make things, it makes it easier on myself so I don't have to bend over so much. Easier on my neck, easier on my arms. I can hold my project up higher. Makes it easier to, oh, excuse me. Makes it easier to see. Um, I also still have devotions every morning. I like to read out of three different books. The first one is 365 Days of Kindness. The next one is a devotion, daily guidepost, 365 days, uh, devotions for grandmothers. And then the other one is called The Illustrated Words of Jesus for Women. And that one is unique because you can color in it and put in your own two something you actually can write in it what you think. And I've added stickers to some of them. And if I add anything to it, I always show you and let you know. Of course, I always while I'm reading them, I tend to interjections. I tend to interject my own thoughts. I can't help myself sometimes. Something I can't help it when I read something and it reminds me of something, or I have an emotional reaction to something. I'm just like, oh, ooh, oh, that's me. Interjections, excitement, emotion. Schoolhouse Rock. That's all I have to say. Schoolhouse Rock. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you get what I'm talking about. That's how old I am. Yep. And this next row I'm doing over top is just the single crochet, chain one, and then you do a single on top of this stitch. And at the end of that, then you go to white. It's actually in my book that I'm using. Came from this book. 101 Easy Scrap Crochet Projects. It's called Dreamy Stripes. It's the one I'm making. And yeah, 110 rows. And then you make the border. You make 110 rows of doing the stripes and the colors, like the one row of white, one row of color, and then to get 110 rows, and then you make the border. So it's a relatively easy one. And it's approximately 48 and a half inches by 51 and a half by 51 inches. It'll make a decent it'll make a decent blanket. Also, um, the other blanket that I showed you that I was frogging came from this book, and it's called I Love Scraps Afghan, and that's this one. That's the one that I was frogging. There's only a few heart rows into it, like three or four heart rows into it, because I'm actually well into the Square Deals Shrug, where it's using these granny squares. That's the front. There's the back. And right now I've got the two squares for the front made, and I've got two of the sleeves, and I'm working on the other. I'm halfway done with the third square. I need to finish that one and make one more square for the other sleeve, and then I need to make the back. And then, but instead of making it a shrug so it goes only halfway down, I'm just going to have it go all the way down, so that's more like a cardigan. So I'm going to turn the shrug into a cardigan. So that's going to be fun. But that's where that other blanket came from, with this, which was the I Love Scraps Afghan. That's the one that I'm frogging. And it came from this book. The Easy Learn to Crochet in Just One Day. Yes, I prefer to share my information. Okay, I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty. Give me a sec. One of the more fun things that I like to make, I personally like to make, and most of them I've already given away over the years, are baskets made out of CDs. You can use CDs, you can use records. They would be, it's easier to make them out of a 45 record than, and then, and I've talked about it before. I have any of the records here. If I do, I've got them buried somewhere. Um, so, I need to when I watch those videos to make them, I should stop and write down the process so I can tell you the how to do it. I should. Oh, before I forget, in my devotions, a couple of you like to send in the comments, and I really love it, and I would love if more of you did. When you listen to my devotions, you'll put in the comments various other Bible verses that they remind that kind of pop in your head as you're listening. And I've been writing them, and I had them on scrap pieces of paper, and I had to put them on regular pieces of paper because there were just so many that I went from 2 pieces of paper to having to start a third piece of paper, and I had to go back now the last couple of days. I'm going to have to add those now, and I would like for you guys to help me figure out a name for the notebook. So, all over notebook. Book almost fell off. I don't want to do that. But I am putting Bible verses in that notebook to read separately, because I also have separate videos on that where I read the Bible verses to you guys. My mind went blank, and I don't know why. My mind went blank. I got sidetracked. I get sidetracked easy. Oh, I need my pillow. Need my pillow. No. Just to prove that I am working on here's the two that are for the front. Here's one, two. I'm working on the third, so I got to make a fourth that are. Oh, wait a minute. I had this wrong. These are the two for the front. And here is one, two, three. And then I got to make a fourth one to make the sleeves. And then I got to make the big one for the back. So I do have some. I do have squares made. Just as proof for that cardigan. Where did my book just go? I lost. No, I did not want to lose my book. Where did I set it down to? Okay, how did my book? Oh, there it is. Ah, there it is. Like I said, they actually call it a shrug, but I'm going to turn it into a cardigan. That's going to look really, really cool. Something else. Okay, we got 5 thumbs and 4 people. We have one. That's pretty cool. We got more thumbs than people. Give me more thummies, thummies, thummies. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We need all the thingies. I don't know. Like I said, I had today off. I had so much fun over the weekend. Went shopping Saturday morning. Went to the concert Saturday night. Um, Sunday morning, I was bad. I should have gone to church, but my best friend was still in town, and she asked me to go to the zoo, and she hasn't been to the zoo probably since we were kids. And so we got to go see the zoo, and our zoo is huge. And she wanted to go on all the rides. So we went on all the rides in the zoo, and we saw all the animals and laughed at ourselves while we were at the zoo. Laughed at ourselves, laughed with our friends at the party. I had such a blast all weekend long. It was so cool. And she doesn't come into town very often. And she usually stays for like a week or so when she does come. So it was so nice to see her. She lives like, I'm in Indiana, and she's from Minnesota. So she originally was from here because she graduated 2 years before I did, and but her family moved to um, Minnesota. So and she drove. She drove here from there. She drove all the way here from there. That's by herself. She didn't bring her family with her. She came here by herself and drove all them hours. That's a lot of driving, folks. That's a lot of driving by yourself. Being in the car by yourself and just listening to the radio and driving and paying attention to the roads and making sure you don't get lost where you're going. Um, it'd be one thing if you had somebody there with you, like another family member or a friend to help drive. But if you're the only one in there, that sounds peaceful to you. Maybe, Like if I were to, like, I have family in Ohio. Um, One side of my family is about a 4 hour drive, and the other one is about a 6 hour drive. I could probably do that by myself, maybe. But I prefer to travel with family because then you got somebody to chit chat with. Um, but if I had to, I could probably do it by myself. But to go somewhere that takes you like 12 or more hours to do, that's too much. At least for me, it would be. For some, it might not be, but for me, that would be. Um, I don't know. Although I just keep thinking about one of these days when I go on a trip to go visit family. I do want to be able to have the time to take more time to go see other sites along the way instead of being in a hurry to get to the location. If you should be able to take your time and enjoy yourself while you're on your way to that location and stop and see some sites that you don't usually see and eat places and eat at little places at little holes in the ground. Um, sometimes you just need to stop and smell the roses along the way. But that's just me. But my dad and I actually kind of did that earlier this year. My grandmother, she's still with us. She lives in Ohio. She turned 100 this year, back in March, and usually we go straight shot there, but we stop and get something to eat. But this time we stop at a museum, and then we stopped and got something to eat, and as well as having to get gas, of course. Um, but it was nice to just kind of take our time a little bit to get there because we actually had some time to. We didn't have to go anywhere or do anything that night, but we had the rest of the weekend. We had a lot of stuff to do, but it was just really nice to be able to do that. And I think we did that once on the way back too. We stopped at a couple places just to have some fun. So sometimes you just gotta stop and relax and take some time when you're out visiting. Now, and then when I do the tutorials for the granny squares and for the Bella Coco crochet deck, I like right now the phone I'm using the phone as a camera and it's in an arm. It's like a claw thing and then it holds it. And so what I do is I have it pointing down over my hands, and then that's how I do the tutorials. Because to me, that just seems easier than so you could get a little better view of how to do things than if I brought it up here and did it. I don't know. To me, it just kind of makes it a little easier. So what you guys working on? I have to work the rest of this week, and I have to work this weekend. Where I work at, you have to work every other weekend. So I was just off over the weekend, so I got to work this weekend. But I have every Tuesday off, and that was only because I had worked something out with my boss because I take care of my dad. Because originally, when they changed our schedule, they were told us they weren't going to have what they call RDO, which is regular days off. But I told her I need an RDO because I have to take my dad to his appointments, and I can't cancel appointments and reschedule them because you changed my days off. I can't do that. I need to have an RDO. So because you keep wanting to change my because you want to change my schedule on a whim and have different days off every 2 week every schedule, and then I have to call and reschedule appointments. No, I'm not gonna do that. Do you know how dumb that makes you look if you have to keep rescheduling and rescheduling? And how frustrating that makes it for everybody involved? No, we're not robots. You can't do that. So she was able to fix it so I could have the same day off every 2 weeks. And so consequently, every 2 weeks I work 6 days straight. And I tell you what, by the sixth day I am so tired. Actually, by the fourth or fifth day, I'm already getting tired, and by fifth and sixth day, I'm like done. But such is life. At least they were able to get me give me at least one RDO, which works. Up. I almost messed up. I almost messed up. Started to make the wrong kind of stitch on that one, and I'm like, nope. I just need single crochets with the chain one. I don't need to make that little. It's not really a puff stitch. You know, whatever this little stitch thing was underneath. Three double crochets together. I get done with this row, then I go back to the white, and then I do 2 rows for the white, and then we do 2 rows of another color, and then I gotta make the border. And we do this for 110 rows. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. I'm working on my 28th row. But by the end of this one, I will be at 28 out of 110. So a little more than a fourth of the way through. And actually, these stitches work out pretty fast. A little bit of a yarn eater, not much, but it's a little bit of a yarn eater. And I'm also working on just about finished with my 70s themed project for Decade Divas. Decade Divas is the brainchild of the Spoonie Stitcher and Critters Crochet. Where every year they get a bunch of us to together. It's like kind of for fun, and each year they do a different decade. And this year it's the 70s, and everybody's coming up with their own creations for a project that's from the 70s, and we're kind of pinning each other. They were kind of going against each other, but not at the same time. It's just like for fun and bragging rights kind of a thing. Just to have some fun and see what we can come up with, what we can make from the set. Um, each year they do a different decade. This year it's from the 70s, which is cool because I was born in the 70s. So I'm about finished with that project. Now, something I have been, um, I've recently been thinking about, and I'm still kind of toying with the idea. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Boggy Creek down in Eustis, Florida, which is a camp for kids who have all sorts of ailments, um, and so they, while the kids are being there, they don't have to worry about their own ailments and just having fun and being a kid, and people are making tons of blankets for them. They're being sent down there, so the kids can have a nice blanket to sleep with at night. And then there are other people that are making the teddy bears for them. Um, what I was thinking about, and I looked it up on the internet, not Boggy Creek, but something else that is actually still around these days. It's called the Linus Project. And what the Linus Project does is they have people who make blankets, whether they're crocheted, they're knitted, quilted, however you want to make a blanket, you can make a blanket. And then the blankets are, of course, they have to be washable and dryable. Preferably pet free, and when um, no scents on them. Can't be anything that can be pulled off or anything. Um, uh, but I was thinking about making some blankets for the Linus Project. The Linus Project gives these blankets to kids um, that are in the hospital. Um, so I think that would be a wonderful way, because in that way I can give back to my own community. But I have to find out where my local chapter is, and I've kind of looked at their website, but the closest chapter looked like it was like a couple hours away. But I'm hoping if I could talk to them and see if there's anything local here that I could send them to, so I wouldn't have to drive so far. I work at a hospital here in town, and I've thought about making some blankets to give to my local hospital. Because I know when my mom passed away last year, she was given by when she was in hospice. Well, right before she got moved into hospice, and when they moved her in hospice, both times they gave her a little blanket, a little throw blanket, and our families have both of them. And I have thought about, um, and I've seen some blankets. Oh, I need the white now. Get made. Yeah, there's some really nice made blankets that some of these patients have. They're from whoever makes them. Um, so I'm gonna I think I'm gonna ask around and see if anybody knows about it, and it's not about making them and such, and see if the hospitals could use them. I don't know. It's still an idea that I'm kind of playing around with. Of course, over here, since it's almost fall, we got a lot of cicadas out there, and I can hear them from inside the house. They're like loud. um, let's see what tomorrow's. Tomorrow's motif is kind of interesting. Ooh, we got one coming up that takes 2 pages. Wow. I'm just kind of looking ahead, folks, just because I'm curious. Ooh. Ooh, we got one coming up in a few days. It's very interesting. The square one, kind of detailed. Almost as detailed as today's. I don't know. But I am thinking it probably won't be this year. It'll probably be next year. Probably next year I will do tutorials. I will try every day to do the tutorials for the motifs and for all the various stitches. Because there aren't just motifs, there are stitches in here too. And that way we can learn them all together. But for now, let's just kind of show you what today's is. I need to change color on this one. I need to change back to white. But how are you folks doing? A little more than fourth of the way through on this one. And I'm just kind of going to town having fun with it. I think one of my stepdaughters is the only one that hasn't gotten anything handmade from me yet, so that one's probably going to go to her. You know what? I have some family members who just really love the things that I make. And then there's one part, then there's like my daughter's ex-husband. He didn't really, he thought everything that I made was cheap. And I hate that when people say that handmade is cheap. Because as you guys know, it is not cheap. Yes, when the yarn I get from, I mostly buy from thrift stores. Yes, when I originally priced it and get it, yes, it is cheap. But the projects themselves are not cheap because it takes a lot of yarn and a lot of money to make these projects. Especially if you buy some of the fancier yarns and you get to buy some of the more pricier hooks. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time and effort. Like there was this rug that I made for them, and he just kind of devastated it, and I was so mad. And we ended up giving it. My dad tried to fix it as he could, and then I ended up giving it to my stepdaughter and the boyfriend she had at the time. And then there was one blanket, actually 2 blankets that I made for them. They threw away instead of just washing them. He threw them away. He threw everything away that I ever made for my daughter, and I was so mad. When they got divorced, instead of letting her have the stuff, he threw them away. So mad. I was so mad. Very disappointed. That she just let him do that instead of taking the stuff with her. She just let him throw everything away. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was so livid. I just don't. I don't understand people. Don't understand people. Anyway, there I go again. Off on a tangent. I'm sorry. I don't mean to go off on tangents, but I do. It has already been an hour. But please like, comment, share, subscribe. Go watch all my videos in their entirety. I actually need, when I get the time to, I actually need to go back and put some of those videos back into the newer videos into back into their categories. I still need to do that. That's also on my list. I have I have a laundry list of stuff that needs to get done. I've just gotten myself behind. I took some time off over the summer to kind of rest and recuperate. It's mostly because of a lot of emotional things that were going on in June and July that I needed to take some time away from everything. And so now I'm a little behind, and I need to catch myself up. Um, so I apologize that I'm behind. I apologize. Well, it's kind of a sorry, not sorry, because I needed to take some emotional time for myself. Um, and I'm thankful for those of you who understand. Um, but I will be getting back into the groove of things. It's just going to take me a little while. It's just going to take me one step at a time to get back into the groove of doing everything again. Um, that's why my pop ups, my lives are pop ups, and you never know when the next. I mean, I do devotions every day. I'm gonna make sure to do those, but everything else is gonna be when I can get them done. That's another sorry, not sorry, just because life is life. I have a daughter to take to work every morning, and I have to go to work my own self. So I do things when I can. Life is just life. I'm not retired, so I don't have all the time in the world to do things. So I just kind of do things when I can. Um, but I hope all of you have had a very wonderful day, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And like, comment, share, and subscribe. Watch all of my old videos to their fullest, and like, share, and comment on those. Tell all your friends. If you like to go thrift shopping, if you like to hear daily devotions, if you like to hear Bible scripture read, if you like seeing granny squares being made, if you like tutorials on stitches, watch my channel. And I love y'all. Bye.